Indeed they are, and very competitive in 6. That really is Mater D.
They had a really good stick, Phil.
But it's getting busy on the outside in front of the Wall of Fame. On the way home in lane 6, very competitive once again, lanes 1 through 9. That is Mater D with the win, 47-76.
Really, really good passes there from Mater D. Watch this here, lane 6. He did run up on him a bit, but still to make that the change, and then he gets to yell like, "Yeah, go boy!"
Yep.
I don't know what he said exactly, but I assume that's what he said.
The Philadelphia Archdiocese Senior Girls has begun in a pretty clean record thus far as far as starts, and obviously I just jinxed the next race, but that's my fault. Out in lane 8, leading the way, that is Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And then in 6, Corpus Christi, challenging and now making up this stagger completely. Corpus Christi in 6. Their third leg ran a very solid 100 meters, handing the baton off.
Sure did.
In front, but as I mentioned, here comes Our Lady of Mount Carmel in 8. 3 teams, and it looks like Corpus Christi, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and then St. Mary Magdalene, I do believe. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Separated by just 0.12 of a second.
Now, Corpus Christi, is that a school, a town, or?
It's a school. Yep.
Okay.
Another look at the final meters.
Yeah, those teams on the outside were definitely pressing, but Corpus Christi able to hold on. And look at that lean. Look at that. Look at those leans.
Really, really nice.
I don't know if you can teach that.
Windmill. Yep.
That's just an innate thing that your mind tells your body to do, and they executed that.
Yeah,
really
I know.
Well.
You were thinking Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Well, I was thinking.
Corpus Christi.
I was thinking Corpus Christi, Texas.
Right.
Yeah, there's a Texas A&M University down there, which is really, really big on marine biology and everything else. Of course, they're really down there by the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wasn't sure if they came all the way from Corpus Christi or not.
Nope.
No. Not that lucky.
Not that lucky, and definitely not in the Philadelphia Archdiocese. That would be a very large archdiocese.
Probably not. You're right.
But no, we saw A&M Corpus Christi at the Brian Clay a week ago that Carson and I worked. That's always a great meet. The biggest and most competitive, they say, out on the West Coast and in beautiful Azusa, California.
If you've never been to Texas Corpus Christi, for one, that campus is right on the water.
Oh, really?
I probably would not have gone to. I wouldn't have good grades if I went to Texas A&M Corpus Christi just because the beach is there.
Right.
It's right there. But their distance program is really good as well. They have a really good couple of athletes there.
Yeah, my niece lives down in College Station, so I'll have to go down to Texas one time and check out a Texas high school track meet, and then maybe the Gulf Coast. As wow, that was some changing lanes without turn signals there in the middle of the track, but lane 6 still got the job done. That was Carver E&S, Engineering and Science is my guess. And they're still in the conversation for the number 1 spot in this one. In lane 4, that is Edward Heston. They will move to the outside.
E&S, fast and smart.
That's right. That was MYA with the win out in lane 8, 51.04 over Carver E&S. And we are not too far away from the 4x1 varsity heat scheduled to start at 10:20 a.m. And as expected, the Jamaican squads with a full season already in their belts, 39-53 Excelsior. Won it in 2024. That was their first win since '67. The longest span between wins in this event at the Penn Relays. And they are the Jamaican champs, titleists in 2026.
Speaking of the Jamaican champs in the 4x1, we heard the horns a couple heats ago, and I was like, is there a Jamaican elementary school out here? No, it's because they're doing the long jump and triple jump. I saw a couple of Jamaican uniforms out there. So that is going on at the same time as the 4x1s on the track, the long, the triple on both the high school boys. We also have the pole vault getting in action over there on the far side of the track, which would be the back stretch here. So a lot of good things. We mentioned the pole vault in collegiate with Maryland, Baltimore County. They're also throwing several implements outside of the stadium at the same time.
Very nice. And you know what? We'll have to historically ask somebody in the Jamaican contingent if the thought of middle schoolers coming up. And obviously the availability of events not as wide as with the high schoolers. So you have like the 4x1s and things like that. But why not bring in youngsters up here and see how they can? A little bit of travel expense, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure the Archdiocese schools and other Pennsylvania schools, we want them coming up here just yet. Like, save them for high school and college.
All right. A little bit of a pause as we get ready for the Philadelphia 7th and 8th grade girls 4x1. This is the small school, sorry. We are rolling with the 7th and 8th grade Philadelphia small school girls 4x1 relays. And a very good baton pass and a huge lead down the back straight. Out in lane 8, that is Hamilton. And another good pass with back in lane 5. That is MYA. Trying to close the gap. They are the closest of the three teams that you see rolling in front of the Wall of Fame. But from start to finish, it is still Hamilton. We're getting the horns.
Yeah, definitely hear them. And if you're a 4x1, I'm going to assume that is for me. Definitely a little motivation for the young ladies out there on the track. And we're going down to the elementary schools, Phil, but I was with Carson yesterday when they were doing the Masters. So we're a lot of age groups, a lot of variants of levels here at the Penn Relay. So I was talking to him about that's a devotion and a commitment to health, not only just a sport, but we're seeing it now today starting at the very young age. And we're going to see even more at the higher end with the Masters.
Well, I was right down there on the entryway to track level during the 60-plus 4x1 relay yesterday. Shooting some video and send it back to my friend in southwestern PA. I said, look at this, 60-plus guys, 4x1. Give me a break.
Yeah, I was like, man, we can check the birth certificates. I don't buy it. 60 years old, yeah, right.
Yeah, they were throwing 44s, I think I saw. But like the 40-plus or whatever.
Yeah.
This guy's rolling.
Ridiculous.
Yes. Without a doubt, they are marvels. And in lane 5 right now, the large school, that is Pollock in yellow and black. And then Houston, 2 lanes to their right. They lost a little bit of that speed going into the zone, but they're coming out with a very solid anchor for Pollock in lane 5.
For sure.
Celebrating, enjoying the moment, 47-41 for Pollock. Dropping off the baton.
He might have been able to run the full 400 and win it by himself.
Yeah, he didn't slow at all toward the end of that anchor leg. 47-41, you see they win by 2.1 seconds. Wow, well, no surprise. They just announced a new Penn Relays event record.
He might have known that from the way he finished there, as we just saw. And I'm assuming that since that wasn't Corpus Christi, Texas, that wasn't Houston, Texas.
No.
Okay. I didn't think so.
I'm glad you're able to pick up on that.
Hey, I picked up on that meet record as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is true. And the crowd did give them some love back.
Yeah, they did.
The large school girls 7th, 8th grade Philadelphia race. Battle is right now on the outside in 8 and 9, Masterman and Dunbar. And Pollock in 6. A little bit of baton trouble out in lane 7, but they got things fixed.
Keep on moving, don't stop, and that's what we're seeing here in Pollock. They just won the boys, and now they're threatening to win the girls as well.
Back to back. It is going to be Pollock in the large school 7th and 8th grade girls 4x1 relay. And that teaching moment on the baton, if the baton goes astray and starts to roll around, you can still go get it as long, don't interfere with any other teams, and they were able to accomplish that.
I'm not sure if she really looked or turned the turn signal on like you said moments ago, but it did go well.
Yes.
Considering the drop.
The Philadelphia area private and charter schools boys 4x1. The final 2 events with a smaller audience, so to speak, with a specific pool of schools, and the high school boys varsity 4x1s coming up. Down the back straight as one. Those 5 teams sneaking out a little bit of an advantage in lane 7. William Penn Charter. And back in 5, that is Friends Central.
Real good pass there. Really good.
Friends Central in lane 5 with Girard College in 4. Friends Central at the line. 47-44 for the win over Girard College's 48-17.
Another really fast time, and that time from Friends Central.
On your mark.
And we're underway again, our last race with, again, a smaller pool of competing schools. This is the Philadelphia area private and charter schools girls 4x1 relay. High school varsity boys 4x1s will be next up on the agenda.
And that was a really even first leg there from all those young ladies. Oh, how that quickly changes as the middle of the track is hot right now, Phil.
That is lane 5. That is William Penn Charter once again. And company from Friends Central to their right in 6. They're side by side coming up to the final 100. Friends Central and William Penn Charter to the line. It is going to be Friends Central with the victory. 49-97.
Yeah, and another back-to-back for Friends Central, as we saw moments or heats ago with Pollock.
And the numbers as Friends Central, the only one under 50, and they're celebrating their performance. The young women from Friends Central. America 250. This year, America turns 250. From sea to shining sea, 350 million Americans will come together to celebrate our past and look ahead to what's next. Be part of this once-in-a-generation celebration with America 250. And we are more than happy to be celebrating with America 250 at the 130th running of the Penn Relays, Franklin Field. I wonder if Ben, when they were signing the Declaration of Independence, said, you know what, we need to have a track meet here in about 120 years.
I think he did. I think he said, I want to have the best in the country as well, and keep it going.
All right. Heat number 1, boys 4x1 relay. All right, on the outside in lane 9, that is Cardinal Spellman from New York in this first varsity boys 4x1 heat. Plenty of them coming up. In a baton adjustment back in 6th, that's Cocalico from PA. Sitting in the number 2 spot right now, Cardinal Spellman, Cocalico, 1-2, and then right inside that is Hopewell Valley from New Jersey. And on the inside, we lost them, Brick Township, New Jersey. It is Brick Township. Mean and clean in their white uniforms, 44-22 over Cocalico at 44-48.
Good start there to these high school boys 4x1s. And our producer, Cruz, had a good question for us, Phil. What do we think Ben Franklin's event would be? And it's kind of a deep question when you think about it. Ben Franklin was known for a lot of things. I think he would have invented. He's an inventor. I think he would have invented his own event.
Well, I'm going off of the inventing the lightning rods, kind of like the javelin. So I'm guessing he'd be a thrower.
He might have invented a throw/hurdle/sprint relay.
Okay. So you mentioned you were in the coaches relay. I know I've seen it during the day. Back in the day, they used to have Waitman's relay. Saw the throws guys, shot putters out there.
Those are the best.
Those are the best. Your O lineman doing a 100-yard sprint type of thing.
Yeah, I do think it's unfair when one team throws their slimmest, quote unquote thrower on there. I don't like that at all.
This is true, Cruz, my producer, talking about the corporate relay, and we are going to see some of the finest middle distance runners in American history. I'll spill the beans. Matt Centrowitz, former American star at 1,500 in a mile, scheduled to anchor his corporate DMR team tonight, so you want to be around for that one. As in heat number 2 of the 4x1, right down the middle of the track. This is a huge gap in this event. In lane 6, that is the Grenada boys team from Grenada. 42.86, throwing down a very solid number, winning by 1.7 seconds.
I wonder, did they hire Matt Centrowitz with this in mind? If you're applying for the same job he is and they want to win the corporate relay, you're pretty much out of luck.
I don't know. He is running the 1,600-meter anchor in that DMR 12.4.816.
So does it matter who else you have on that relay if you have Centrowitz?
It might not. But I know that corporate America loves a challenge. They love competition. So Absolutely. If they're going to go out there, put their name in the program book. You know what, guys? We need to not embarrass ourselves. We need to go out there and compete.
Bring it home.
We paid $85,000 for your warm-ups and your uniforms.
They want them to be like Grenada was in that boys 4x1 and bring home the victory.
That's right. They are currently number 1 with that 42.86. The only team under 44. The only team under 43. And the gun has told us we're underway once again. And out in lane 8, Cornwall College from Jamaica. Hello. Ooh, wow.
Good start, but not a good stick.
No. The parked car in the middle of the freeway did not get started in time. We'll see if they lose that same progress in this one. Much better moving the baton forward.
For sure. Their third leg got out. And it was a good exchange from 2 to 3. They're still way out in front despite that first handoff mishap, and a good one there as well.
High and wide, Cornwall College, as we look back to see Bishop Laughlin in lane 4, but well behind Cornwall College, 41.93. We are already getting hot in the boys 4x1 relay.
Yeah, that could have easily been a 41 low, if not 40 point, if not for that first leg mishap or first exchange mishap. But Cornwall, Jamaica, they showed you what kind of speed they definitely have.
Whether the leadoff runner had a hotter 100 than he normally does or just missed the mark, did not move that. All right, so we see the Jamaican teams are definitely here. They come every year. I believe it was either last year or the year before, celebrating the 50th year of bringing their athletes to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for the annual running of the Penn Relays. The lineup in heat number 4.
And second leg is just not getting out on time, impacting their team. However, that is still Maple Shade, I believe.
It is from New Jersey on the outside in lane 7. Maple Shade, and going back in the 4, that is Hempstead from New York. Along the rail, but it's going to get close here in the positions 2, 3, and 4 on the outside in lane 9. That is Massbaum FloTrack. Hempstead 44.40.
Really good anchor leg there from Hempstead. Not that they really needed it. They were out there from the start.
Just want to check. Actually, that was John Dickinson in lane 7 out of Delaware. Or excuse me, lane 8 out of Delaware. 44.92 for the number 2 spot behind Hempstead out of that heat number 4 in event 325. So the 9 fastest teams qualify for the championship final tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. The next 9 international teams have their own final at 4:30. The next 9 national teams from the U.S. and then 9 teams from the Northeast will qualify for their finals tomorrow in the boys 4x1 heats. On the outside in 8, that is Landon School from Maryland, and then back in 5, Clover Hill from Virginia. And in several weeks, many of these teams will be on the starting line for their respective state championships. Clover Hill looking very good from the state of Virginia in lane 5. Scarborough, Lewis, Thompson, and Edmonds. The lineup as they cruise through 43.74.
Yeah, we had a really good shot of the anchor legs putting down their marks right before this heat. And you see some excitement there from Clover Hill as they took that dub, 43-74.
On your marks.
And we'll mention this point, no runouts, no practice your starts. Get in the position to start the race, and we are underway. The teams on the oval: Randallstown Parkway, Roslyn, Garfield, Roselle Park, Franklin Learning Center, Odyssey, Roxborough, and Penquannock of New Jersey.
And I don't want to knock sprinters, Phil, but how much easier and beautiful is this to watch when you have action on the track nonstop? You're not, I mean, we're already here all day, but you're not here because you're wasting time. It's just a beautiful way track and field can actually be done.
Roselle Park from New Jersey in 5, and just to their left, Garfield. Trying to close, but they'll finish about 4 meters behind the squad from Roselle Park. 44.94.
Yeah, that was Penquannock. Am I saying that right?
Penquannock, yeah.
Penquannock on the outside. That was a really good chase down by their anchor leg. Just could not reel in Roselle Park.
Take a look at the back straightaway. Those are the number 3 runners awaiting the baton. And there's the lineup for heat number 7.
Faith Christian with a really good start, but then the second leg runs off and leaves them. I'm not sure if they got it before. They did. I see a white flag. They just got it, but that definitely impacts the rest of their race.
Well, look at the number 3 runner.
He wasn't even on the track.
He was not. St. Rose, obviously a big miscue.
Did the second leg have to slow down and wait? We saw that yesterday in the girls with no anchor leg.
And talk about playing chicken with traffic. As in lane 1 from Clayton, New Jersey, trying to run down Pine Bush from New York, not going to be able to get the job done. Wow, that really could have been disastrous for the young man making the sprint across the oval.
Watch this. Yeah, he was in lane 1. Yeah, they had the wrong.
Wow.
Both of them had the wrong lanes. And I may date myself, and if you know the answer, you're going to definitely date yourself. But remember the game when I think it was a frog had to go across traffic and not get ran over? That was what that was like.
Frogger from Seinfeld,
Yeah.
The Seinfeld episode. Oh, my God. But thanks to our eyes, not in the sky, but our eyes in the production truck out in the streets. But again, lanes 1 and 9.
Looks like we have some more mix-up there. So, wow.
On your marks.
And I was just talking about the continued constant action of track and field.
Lots of moving
We talked
parts.
about all the officials and people trying to get people in places. Sometimes you can do what you are supposed to do, but the athletes just get a little mixed up now and then.
Another teaching moment for the coaches. All right, when a recall start.
And something had to happen for them to, at the same time, realize they were in the wrong lanes.
This is true. And 2 of our officials getting together. And we are going to be good with this. Green card shown. And I think that was lane 2. Might have just had, again, a slippage of that contact between spikes and track, since there is no starting block to help the situation. Heat number 8, West Deptford, William Tennant, Wilberforce, Syosset University, Sidney Pagan, STEM from Jamaica, Technology, Henry Snyder, and Mergenthaler from Maryland. In the middle of the track, that is lane 6, Sidney Pagan, STEM from Jamaica. And on the outside in 9, Mergenthaler from Maryland. They're going to be the top 2 teams going in front of the Wall of Fame. Mergenthaler from Maryland, good baton pass, 3rd leg to anchor, and that's why they're in the lead.
That was definitely the difference between these anchor legs with that baton pass. They were good on the 2nd and the 3rd exchange, leading them to that victory, 42-65, one of the faster times.
And in looking at some of the times coming into this weekend, all of the best times will be in heat number 3, or excuse me, event 330. Excelsior leading the way 39.53. Jamaica College, Kingston College, each have run 39.66. With 9 teams under 41 seconds. Many of those Jamaican teams or from the Bahamas, and then the last 2 on the list, Bullis and DeMatha Catholic in the high 40s.
Yeah, and I want to call it that Mergenthaler final exchange that you pointed out, Phil. Its schedule was Daniel Hart and Kyrie Brown. Really good exchange, and that 42-65 is the number 2 mark out of these heats so far, and a good job there from them.
So Cornwall College sitting at number 1, the only team under 42 seconds.
Almost an even first leg all around.
And it was an adventure in handoffs for South Plainfield on the outside. The incoming runners slowed up, and then they barely got the baton in late, but they're in the lead. South Plainfield, Aiello, Coffey, Rosenkrantz, and Smith in lane 9. We'll see if the final pass is a good one, low and quick. But he better be quick, because on the inside in 3, 4, and 5, Seton Hall Prep, Brandywine, and Tabernacle are chasing. But it's going to be along the wall, South Plainfield, New Jersey, 43-41, which will bring them in the number 4 spot overall thus far.
Why do you know me?
The 1 yard mark.
And, Will, we just saw a runner, I believe, right in front of the Wall of Fame, sort of stepping out that, again, the go mark on the track. You said they're allowed to put one piece of tape down on the running surface. And, again, so important that to affect the timing and the overall execution of baton passes. We'll see how they go in 1 to 2. Pretty solid in the middle of the track. That's Atlantic County Tech from New Jersey in 5. And next to him in 6 and 7. Little difficulty in 7, but 6, St. Andrew Tech from Jamaica. Godfrey Stewart, also from the Island Nation, in number 7. And they're going to battle along with Samuel Fells from Pennsylvania on the outside. But it is a Jamaican side-by-side race for the line.
And that was a good head-to-head battle. I think the difference there, I don't think necessarily it was a faster anchor leg by St. Andrew Tech. I think it was just stride frequency, pretty much. He was a little bit taller and a longer stride.
43.98 for the win. You see those numbers. And thus far, 9 teams, including St. Andrews Tech, have gone under 44 seconds. They are currently sitting in the 9 spot. Our next group from D.C., Delaware, New York, Virginia.
And that's a good view of the crowd. They are piling in here as the minutes go by. More and more people here in Franklin Field, and that is just because we are on the 4x1s as well as the multiple field events that are going on here. But becoming a packed house. Not quite what we're going to see tomorrow, but it is filling up here.
And we are underway. Middle of the track, 5 and 6. That is St. Mary's and Girard College. And difficulty with the baton pass out in 9. Baton goes astray, but they're able to pick it up. But they are definitely out of contention in this one. And in lane 5, that is St. Mary's.
Really good passes there from St. Mary's. And he tells us he wants to hear us. I believe that's what he was signaling.
I think so. 44-33. We will hear it when we potentially see some 39s and 40s. It was more of a little groan, unfortunately, for the anchor runner from St. Mary's.
Yeah, you're not getting that running 44. I understand what he's trying to do. But then you need to give that to the 3 dudes who ran ahead of you, too, man. They did their job. But I get it. You're excited.
Yep.
Just run 40.42, not 44.42.
All right, so they win by 0.3 of a second. And we get such great finish line images as we'll take another look to...
And we talked about putting their markers on the track, and I see a lot of them doing it. Okay, there's someone collecting the tape. I was wondering, like, you're going to have a lot of marks. How do you know which one is yours?
That's it.
So there's the collection of tape. Like, is this yours? No? Okay, I'm pulling it up. So that makes sure they don't get confused.
And in the wet, that could be a very dirty, not great job to have here at Franklin Field, but still. All right, on the track, event number 326, the first one in our second grouping of 4x1 relays. This is pretty even so far.
Good shot, good angle right there. We see one baton getting dropped.
That was on the outside, Kingsway Regional and Lawrence, both from New Jersey.
We have those three outside and one on the inside. It's going to be another close finish here.
Interborough from PA, and that great shot from overhead, 43.50, and Lawrence 43.82.
And it wasn't as close as I anticipated. They just had a really superb anchor leg there to Interborough, allowing them to run away with that. Lawrence was close, as was Hasbrook from the inside.
So if you missed it earlier, talking about the qualification to tomorrow's finals, the 9 fastest teams will be in the championship final. There are other championship finals as well, international, national, and the Northeast, with 9 teams in each of those events. So the squads from up in this neck of the woods, along with those across the country, will have an opportunity, if they're not in the Championship of America event, with predominantly what are going to be probably Jamaican squads.
Right, and Interborough kind of set the pace, or the bar, during that first heat with the 43.50. We'll see what Heat 2 has here. Can they dip under that barrier?
Out in 7, that is Gateway from New Jersey, Lee, Finger, Hunter, Sergio, and Foster. And Morristown, New Jersey, counters with Bryce, Campbell, Satil, and McQueenie. In 9, they had to slow, lost some of their progress, but it's still a battle between 9, Morristown, and Gateway in 7. Morristown, New Jersey wins by a couple of strides, 44-65.
And I saw some really good teams out there, Phil, but a lot of difficulty on those exchanges, almost all 3 of them from some of those teams. Thus, them not having the time they probably would have liked, and not fast enough than Interborough, Lawrence, and Hasbrook Heights from the previous heat.
Well, I know generally there are no brakes on in a sprinter's car, so to speak. And especially in a 4x1, you don't want to have to brake. Even you don't want to have to take it out of gear. And we've seen that as the teams have come up on the outgoing runner who, for whatever reason, isn't up to speed to match this tempo of the incoming runner, and they basically either took it out of gear or slammed on the brakes.
Yeah, even if you have a quick exchange between the two, you're not getting the baton through the exchange zone fast as you would have if you didn't have to apply those brakes.
All right, Paul is 6th on the outside. In lane 9, up against the wall, looking pretty solid at this point. Back in 4 and 6, North Rockland, New York. McDonough from Maryland is in 6.
And watch out for Palmyra there.
On the inside. Indeed, they had to look back for the stick. Do they get it past? They do, right before the yellow diamond. But they lost a lot of their forward momentum. Can they pull even at the line? They do, and they get the win. But that one cost them at least 4 or 5 tenths, I would think.
Right. They had some exchange, some difficulties. Palmyra had some difficulties. However, when you have the leg speed like Franklin did, they were able to still pull through 43.98. And I think that is the 3rd fastest time now out of these first 3 heats. And there's a beautiful overall look currently at Franklin Field. It is almost a packed house.
And that was not downtown, by the way.
It was not. We're just being facetious, folks. We called it downtown yesterday. It looked like a downtown. It's downtown somewhere, just not downtown Philly.
And we are underway with heat number 4 of event 326. It's the second grouping of the high school boys 4x1 relays. We are Excited that you have joined us for the second day of the 130th running of the Penn Relays, celebrating with America 250. And right now, the fans of New Rochelle are pretty happy about their progress. Out in lane 8, in lane 6, that is St. John Vianney from New Jersey.
They're cutting into that New Rochelle lead. But it's still New Rochelle.
Who had the better baton pass of those two between New Rochelle and St. John?
I don't know. It's about even. They weren't great, but they weren't bad either. But New Rochelle was able to hold off St. John Vianney, even though they had the inside track. Good run there, and they're happy about it.
By 1100s, 43.51 to 43.62. They're the full list of the results from heat number 4, event 326.
And a slightly better baton pass. They might have had the best exchange. Pretty good one on that second one from New Rochelle. A little time wasted.
And that definitely propelled them to the advantage they had going in front of the Wall of Fame.
And they're just a tenth of a second behind Interboro for the top spot.
That's the leadoff runner from Falls Church, Virginia. Cooper Kiefer scheduled to be the opening leg.
Set.
Oh,
Come back.
There it is again.
that was quick.
Double gun.
Uh-oh. Are we going red? We are going red. Ooh. Don't like that.
Full start, lane 2.
Unfortunately, Oratory from New Jersey is not going to be participating in the 4x1.
Yeah, I didn't get to see what happened there. A lot to try to process here.
On your mark.
And again, he must have got a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, he was almost as far away from our great camera shot and difficult to pick up on the early start. And I noticed a little hesitation in one of the runs. Again, without the blocks, the feel is just so difficult to really dial in because these sprinters are used to having that firm launch. Five and 6. That is Archbishop Wood in lane 6. Oh, in lane 3, and I jinxed him. Falls Church didn't get the baton passed on the back straightaway as the two runners from that school came into contact with one another. Out in 9, that is Manheim Township. And Archbishop Wood moving even and winning. Archbishop Wood with the victory. 44-44.
And they won the race to both lines.
Archbishop Wood, the Vikings. First time we've seen that number.
44-44?
44-44. Not playing that in the lottery. Wouldn't be much use, I don't think.
On your mark.
All right. Heat number 6, event 326. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland represented by those schools.
And there was a wowzer, a triple jump.
Uh-oh. That was a lot of activity from the starters. And what kind of card are we pulling? We're red again.
Really, and I think that might be a little unfair, Phil, because the crowd was clapping for that triple jump at the same time that they shot the gun. Unfortunately, they're going to remove him.
Up, and they're going to get the guy. There we go. They heard you. They must have the FloTrack live stream in their headsets.
I hope so, because that was a little unfair. The helicopter landing, the clapping, the gun shooting. There's a lot going on.
Oh, there was on the outside, it looked like there was another runner. Did they? Yeah, they also did. So they had 2 DQs. So out in 8, definitely left early. But again, it's a lot of times when you have additional noise around these athletes, they are dialed in to hear that first noise.
Right.
And so lanes 3 and 8 are now empty. And we're underway.
Good passes there on that first exchange. White flag all around.
And in lane 5, looking very speedy, Chesapeake from Maryland. Passing the baton just a little quicker than Edison from New Jersey. But right now they are side by side. Edison, the slight upper hand based on the stagger. And they're actually in front by the narrowest of margins. And now down in lane 2, Franklin Township from the Garden State. And it is Edison first, Franklin Township second, and Chesapeake third.
Yeah, Franklin Township just could not take advantage of that inside stagger. Good run there. Nevertheless, Edison with an equally good anchor of their own. 43-43 for the winning time. That's impressive. A couple 43s in that heat. Starting to see things speed up here a bit, Phil.
Yes. Despite both the progress of the meet, we were ahead of schedule, along with the times, because we hit with some of those Jamaican programs in that opening event, 3:25. And it is a clean start and a fair one. And in lane 6, they are really stepping out. Let's check their handoff, and a good one.
Good showing out there in lane 9 from Mercenburg Academy.
In the middle of the track in 6, that is George Washington from Pennsylvania. G-Dub, high and wide. Good stick exchange in 3, though. That is Paint Branch from Maryland. But they're going to have to play catch-up and won't get to the line before George Washington with the win, 43.45.
Dominating performance there. Really good handoff there from George Washington. And that puts them in a 2 spot right behind 43-43 from Edison. From the previous section, we just saw 2 of the fastest times here back-to-back.
And winning by a full second, the squad from George Washington, Nixon, Stevenson, Wilson, and Benda.
So good run from Edison and Washington here in Franklin Field.
And about as long as it takes these high schoolers to run maybe 2 legs of a 4x4, we are started already with the next heat number 8 of event 326. And again, another drop baton on the outside. It looks like the team in 9 is going to be a DNF. And in 8, that is Hatboro Horsham. A slight lead in front of the Wall of Fame. How will they do in passing the baton? They get it past first, going late in the zone. Down in 6, that is Central Regional from New Jersey. And they get the win. Will, that obviously that is a strategy, going late in the zone. You think that contributed at all to the fact that they were able to pull out a 0.2 of a second win?
Probably, definitely it did. Looking at their second leg and their anchor leg, they really had some good legs, but again, some long legs. So it allows you to stretch things out, a little bit. And it looks like it worked. They won that pretty comfortably.
Central Regional, 44-51.
Get a good look at the guys hungry to get on the track to do their thing in that paddock cam. Gentlemen on deck.
Well, by this time yesterday, you already were connecting with some of the cuisine on the outside of the track based on the aromas that were wafting into the stadium. Have you picked up anything yet today?
Of course. It started maybe about an hour or so ago.
You're honest. I appreciate that.
Yeah. cannot lie.
All right, lane 8, Lacey Township from New Jersey, and then Triton Regional also from the Garden State. A very good second leg. Pulls them well clear of the field. We'll see how their final 2 legs close things out. Triton Regional. Again, late into the zone. They got it in the final 2 or 3 strides. Triton Regional, as the field is starting to close on them, but this is a 400-meter relay and not 420, so they win 43-89.
Right, and something happened there. I don't know if the anchor leg took off too soon or the third leg wasn't aware that they were running down in the zone, because it looked like he didn't really continue through that. Nevertheless, they still got it off successfully and got the win.
Uh-oh, there's some of the cuisine. There's my bacon on the stick.
That's what I'm smelling, Phil.
Get that bacon on the stick.
They are working it. And I think I should pay homage, give them the respect to go and taste all their hard work.
Like this young man. All right. See, I'm not a crispy bacon guy. I did notice that one. I thought that was pretty good. Humpty Dumplings.
I like the name as well.
Nice.
Get a little caffeine there with some ice or frozen drinks.
It is a festival outside.
It is something else. It is great in here and equally great outside.
Then we also have the pull-ups or chin-up bar, I think, from our nation's military service institutions. As down in lane 8, I think that's Poly Prep, their number 2 runner. And a good baton pass. It is Poly Prep out in 8, and in lane 4, East Stroudsburg North.
I see the same thing from East Stroudsburg North, Phil. And they're going to have the lead going into this final, or coming off the turn, should I say. Watch out for Willingboro.
Right along the rail, East Stroudsburg North along the inside. That is Willingboro, and they get the win. The New Jersey squad, Bryant, Taylor, Walker, and Jones, 43-77.
It's a disadvantage sometimes running in lane 1, but sometimes it is an advantage when they can't see you coming. And Willingboro snuck up and then went right on by.
And sadly, we also sometimes don't see him coming.
Absolutely. When they're just that fast. But I didn't see that the video coming. I smelled it coming. Well, our production team knew what we were smelling. I think they were smelling it too.
That's true. And they're outside the stadium. It's easier for them to get to the food than for us. Well, that's okay. But, Will, you know what? I'm going to have to play 4-4-4-4 in the lottery. It came up again.
Did it really? Just now?
Did. Yeah, with the heat before. I meant to point it out, and I didn't get a chance. I know, twice in like 3 or 4 heats. All right, the teams on the oval: Chaminade, DuPont, Tottenham, Red Bank Catholic, Long Island Lutheran, West Milford, Lincoln, Oakdale, and Hoboken, New Jersey. Who do we have in lane 7? That is Lincoln from New York. And on the outside 9, Hoboken, New Jersey.
Lincoln had some interesting goings on there on that second exchange. Yet they're still in the thick of things here.
And a nice handoff on the outside from Hoboken, New Jersey. 4 or 5 teams coming for home. And it's Red Bank Catholic in lane 4. Final 100 meters, they make the pass 44-20 for the win over Lincoln. And Hoboken was pushed all the way back to 5th as the top 5 teams separated by just 75 hundredths of a second.
Really competitive field there in that section, and it really came down to doing the technical things correctly. And that's why we saw the winners separated from 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and so on. Also in the last couple of heats, I don't know if you saw, on those first exchanges, the first legs, a couple guys were biting the dust after their handoffs. So hopefully the young men are okay, because that's not an easy blow. The track doesn't budge much.
No.
Fortunate, this is a really soft surface. I was on it Wednesday, one of the best tracks. This isn't your typical local
this is true.
track and field facility. So there's some soft ground, but nevertheless. not the most comfortable.
You can see the wear and tear in lane 4, which is, again, the inside lane for all those oval races. So it's something that needs to be recovered or redone a little more often. In lane 7, that is WWP South from New Jersey. Start early, pass well, leg 3 to 4, and they're going to be victorious. WWP South, Hines, Essie, Kinsler, and Akamoto. Oh, I still made the right call.
It got a little dicey there.
Wow, by 200ths of a second, Ramsey closed incredibly well. The two New Jersey teams battling it out.
They're making your calls close. I will say WWP South, it didn't have to be. Their second leg had to put the brakes on, as you've been harping here, to get that exchange off. If not, it could have been a more comfortable win than they came out with.
And kudos to Luciano Zizov, the anchor runner for Ramsey.
Yeah, he was charging hard, wasn't he?
He was. Without a doubt.
Up and over at the pole vault.
I noticed that as well on the back straightaway.
Set.
So many moving parts, all the left turns on the outside and all the straightaway type action in the middle, along with the Jays, of course, in the high jump.
There's a little slip from the gun from Archbishop Malloy there in lane 7. Has them in a little bit of a hole.
And that is lane 8, Smyrna, Delaware, stepping out on the field. All right, I won't make the early call, but they're looking pretty good right now. Smyrna from Delaware, midway through the zone, they pass the baton into, that is Spring Ford from Pennsylvania, the closest pursuer, but it will be Smyrna, Delaware at the line, 42-30. The number one time in this event, 3:26.
And we might have missed it, Phil. You said there were 2 44s. There were actually 3.
Another one.
Yes. Not in this past heat, but yeah. So if you play the numbers, as my grandmother called it, 44-44 is not a bad one.
My golly, Miss Molly, right? Isn't that how that's said? From the, whatever, the 50s? My goodness. I'm going to have to. And the individual at the register or whatever, if I go up, it's like, what? 4444? Dude, what?
Trust me. 4444 is what I'm playing.
And a clean start for the field once again. We are now in event 327. We're moving our way through the hot heats coming up in event 330. So still lots of 4x1 relay action. Straight ahead. And in lane 5, that is Asbagam from New Jersey.
They're coming up on Bishop Eldo, who is running well in the early goings.
Now out in 7. Yep, that is Bishop Eldon from the Bahamas. But this is going to be tight. And Bishop Eldon is giving up the lead. And in 6 and 8, that Frederick Douglass from Maryland. It is 44.06. Columbia from New Jersey, 44.12.
There was a good charge there also from St. Mark's. Elijah Burke on the anchor leg. He tried to pull up on Douglas and Columbia, just a little bit behind. And that was a good view from those gentlemen as they're finishing. They're going off the track. At the same time, you have the heats behind them coming onto the track. So it is definitely a two-way street down there.
And if you heard that roar, that was for our high jumper down there, 2 meters 6. Up and over, a little wiggle the bar, but hey, as long as it stays on the pegs.
And that is 6 feet 7.
There we go. And difficulty with the stick work on the outside. I think that is Red Bank. It was from New Jersey. Had to look back to get the pass made. But 4, 5, 6, and 7, pretty competitive. Red Bank also in it in lane 9. That's Henrik Hudson in lane 7. And we're moving further inside to lane 3, Burlington Township, New Jersey. Ama, Rayford, Lane, and Proctor. And they won to both lines.
Yeah, they did.
43-58.
Burlington Township had a really good second exchange, and they needed it because Roosevelt LI was coming hard. Leroy Barrett was barreling down on Robert Proctor's slight lead, but they were able to hold on. And that is the new lead time here in this section, 43-58 from Burlington Township. If any of these other teams can dip under there.
That's right. As we start rolling along, compile some numbers in event number 327. Once again, the 9 fastest teams from all these heats will meet tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. The next 9 international teams, not from the U.S., at 4:30. The next 9 fastest American teams at 4:25. In the Northeast, top teams Saturday at 4:20 p.m. Lots of 4x1 action still to come tomorrow for the high school boys. In 7, going late into the zone, getting the pass made at St. John's from New Jersey, but after Riverdale Regional in 6. And leading the way, Riverdale Regional in 3, we have Mount Vernon from New York.
Riverdale Regional was just too big of a lead to overcome. That's some really good speed and passes on those first 3 legs, Phil. And the anchor leg just had an easy job. Just follow the pass to the finish line.
And I believe that you had said you were the one, again, build fast to slow, run me down, right, with your relays? Or was that Sean? I can't remember.
That was Sean.
That was Sean? Okay.
I think you need appropriate speed in the beginning, but also at the end.
At the end.
I don't like to get ran down. Put it like that.
You know, like Phil's early calls turning out to be garbage.
Exactly. Yeah. Not if it were at my expense. But sometimes when you just have what you have and you have to do it like that, you play the card you're dealt.
And again, we've talked about with each of these legs having some element of the turn. You really don't have that traditional, I'm a turn runner, I'm a straightaway runner, that, you know, you put that guy that's got a 120-meter leg on the back straightaway that's just eating up teams.
Man, they're getting at it on that backstretch.
Extreme difficulty right along the rail. He lost his balance. Thankfully, didn't step on the rail because that can be very serious injury. In lane 2, that is C.H. Flowers from Maryland.
Really good pass from them. 42.9, new fastest time.
C.H. Flowers, 42.98. Hopefully we get another look at that adventures in rail running.
I will say, Phil, I don't want to walk back necessarily what I said. I don't want to have to try to catch you. I just don't want to get ran down. I understand what Sean is saying. I like to run from the front as well. I just don't want to get caught.
42.98, C.H. Flowers. And the visual and just how that rail comes into play, it really, honestly, is a factor. If you are running at speed and you are banking into the turn, so to speak, you can easily lose your equilibrium and balance, as we saw that with the young man in that last section. Thankfully, able to stay on his side of the rail. As a clean start for the group on the oval. And in 6, Mount Pleasant from Delaware, looking pretty good at the moment. And that Unionville in 5? It is. And on the outside in 9, Cherry Hill West from New Jersey.
Yeah, that was a really impressive second leg run there from Unionville. But he had to catch a lot of people.
And needs to be caught right now is Radner from Pennsylvania in lane 2, and nobody's going to accomplish that feat. And Radner goes 43.80 for the win. Cherry Hill West 44.43 for second.
So that's how I would like to run. I want 3 legs that can get you out there like Radner did, like they did, pardon me, but then have the anchor leg that cannot get caught. I don't know if that further explains what
that makes sense.
But I do want to ask you, Phil, if you know, because you've been here a lot longer than I have, what is the point of the rail?
Well, I mean, the rail, again, it is, obviously, as you know, the line of demarcation, just like the solid white line. But you mean not the fact that it's between 3 and 4, but just the rail period, correct?
No. The fact that it's in between 3 and 4.
Well, I mean, because the lane 4 is the 400-meter distance for one full lap from point A to point A again. Because the inner lanes, if you run them just one full lap, it's like 390, in lane 3 and the like. So, yeah, the full 400-meter distance for one lap is lane 4, not lane 1, like you would see on a normal standard track. Just because, again, normally on a high school. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. On a high school track where it's laid out around the football field like here, usually the end zones are much deeper. It's a narrow track and long. Here you have the short straightaway, so you can see there's usually a lot of empty space between the end of the end zone and the turn. Take a look at one of the high school tracks back home. You'll see what I'm trying to explain. I know not well, but on the outside in lane 9, East Providence from Rhode Island. And then a good closing speed, Germantown Academy in lane 1, 42.79 for the winners. Germantown Academy, 43.36.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good run there from Jet Dickerson out of Germantown Academy. Unfortunately, they just cannot run down East Providence with Jack Pollock on the back end. 42.79 for East Providence. That is the new fastest time out of that section, just ahead of C.H. Flowers. So I'm going to ask, I know you're not on the board of the Penn Relays or the University of Penn, Sylvania, and their facilities.
Yes.
But have they ever thought about making it a full?
Oh, with lane 1, I just don't know, because obviously you got wall there, 9 lanes. If it wasn't a 9-lane track, you could bring that out, conceivably, because 2 would be 1 now, so you'd only have 2 lanes, but that would be even, I mean, and again, the fact that it is a 9-lane oval, I know a number of collegiate facilities are 9s. Ohio State, Jesse Owens, that's a 9, because when they expanded the state high school track meet in Ohio, instead of having 16 state finalists, you had 18 when they moved it there, because you had 9-lane ovals. So you had 2 heats of each or whatever. All right, this is going to be a tight one. Coming up to the final 100 meters. But inside the rail, it is a runaway. That is Upper Dublin from Pennsylvania in lane 3. Everybody else was fairly close outside the rail, but Upper Dublin, a very solid 42.70.
Yeah, really impressive run there from Upper Dublin. Jeremiah Raphael, Jonathan Block, and Jackson Bryan on those first 3 legs. Jesse O'Black really didn't have much to do. Pretty boring run from him. Just do your job, not fall. And he was able to do that. They ran the fastest time there, as you said, 42.70.
Quickly to heat number 8 in event 327. And in the comfy confines of Franklin Field, we are cranking out some 4x100 meter heats, setting the stage for tomorrow's championship, and some difficulties with passing the baton. We saw two teams right along the rail having to turn around to eyeball the baton pass when normally it is a blind exchange. And again, difficulty. Oh, the team right in the middle of the track, actually in the lead in lane 6. That was J.P. McCaskey. Never got the stick passed between the number 3 and number 4 runners. 43.86. Mainland Regional gets the benefit of all those difficulties passing the stick.
One more dumb question, Phil. So they can't.
All right.
Let's take a look at this handoff before I hit you with this dumb question.
All right, J.P. McCaskey is out in front and just did not make the connection until they were across the diamond.
That's unfortunate.
Yes. Dumb question.
So,
yes.
They have inside track on the inside. There aren't technically lanes. Can't they just like repaint the track and start new?
Well, yeah, I mean, they could, but they would lose because of, again, the space between the inner walls here. You can't go longer. Like I said, you look at some of because these are short straightaways. On a high school track, usually it's 100 meters, then you're going to start to turn. You understand. So here, not the same, because you have the more gracious turn radius. Softer turns than the harder turns like around a high school football field.
Okay. Well, if you're at the Penn Relays and you're a decision maker, I do watch a lot of HDTV. Yeah. The brick walls can be moved.
Well, in fact, they did just the opposite. Is we don't want to lose track. Oh, this is going to be a very nice race. Running for home in lane 4. That is Scarsdale from New York. High stepping to the line. They win by just about a stride, if that. 43-49. Well, it's funny you mentioned stadiums and walls and such. At Ohio Stadium, back in, I think Jesse Owens Stadium now, their exclusive track and field facility is 20-some-odd years old. At Ohio Stadium, they wanted to not be a 90,000-seat little teeny football stadium anymore, so they actually lowered the field surface and added seats where before there was track. So they did away with the track, added some more seats, so the slope, instead of coming down to a wall, was sloped like all the way down to a lower playing surface. So that's the reason. Here you had more space. You could have had like a 12-lane track with lane 1 being 400 meters, unlike here, lane 1 being like 380. And that's why the rail, again, is between 3 and 4, because that's where 400 meters, 1 lap, is measured.
It is definitely unique.
Yes, it is. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I have been at some unique indoor venues, including the one, not to throw Edinburgh under the bus, but theirs is 237 points, or 236, and I'll find it on the web. But a very unique distance, and it causes major issues when you're trying to figure out the DMR exchange zones. But that is a side discussion to take us away from Woodside in Virginia out in 9, and then in lane 6 that is Central Bucks East. CBE in the red and blue kit, 43:37.
And that is the new fastest time out of the section from CBE. Woodside from Virginia also with an impressive 43.82, and Springbrook, as you mentioned, 43.96, also getting under 44 seconds. So Central Bucks has an east and a west, correct?
Yep.
Right.
Council Rock, north, south. The directional Michigan colleges in Pennsylvania. Yeah, you have Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, Western Michigan.
Okay, gotcha.
Being a little goofy, sarcastic type.
I was going to say Michigan and Pennsylvania.
Well, in Pennsylvania, you have out in Pittsburgh, you have North Allegheny, you have West Allegheny, you have East Allegheny. South Allegheny. I think you have all 4, yeah.
So Central Bucks is a town?
Well, it is just the school district, yes.
All right, gotcha.
Yes.
Understood.
On your mark.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the final heat of this section. The boys 4x1. And you brought it up moments ago, Phil, that
yes,
these are full heats, not a missing lane. Of course, who would want to miss this action at the unique Franklin Field and Penn Relays?
Right. And I almost forgot CBW, Central Bucks West. Sorry about that. All 3 Central Bucks high schools. And some adjustment of the baton out in lane 9 as far as placement in hand. That was Scotch Plains from New Jersey. That put them at a disadvantage as Hun School in the red and white gained a little bit of an edge, but here is Garfield from Virginia.
Really good looking anchor leg there. I'm not sure what was really going on with the third leg and their positioning. I'd have to look at that again. Nevertheless, they did get the baton, maybe not as efficient or proficient as you would have liked. Still, they run 42.9.
Yes. And I do like that kit. I like the red and blue left and right. They're celebrating.
Yeah, and there was also an interesting third to fourth leg handoff in that heat. Garfield did their thing, though. And
in lane 7, some adjustment of the baton for Osborne Park from Virginia and allow the team in 8, Townsend, Maryland, to step into the conversation. But on the inside in 1, 2, and 3, Academy Park, George School, and Newark Collegiate. And inside outside is Academy Park from Pennsylvania, 43-64. Osborne Park and George School all under 44 seconds.
Sometimes you question coaches and what are they doing, Phil? But watching those anchor legs, you know exactly why those young men are on fourth leg.
On your mark.
And if you are not used to the Penn Relays, folks, yes, those are horns, but that was not traffic. That was Jamaica. They are here just letting us know they're ready for their teams to hit the track and start competing and start winning some of these heats. And we've been talking about this for like the last hour, Phil. It gets more and more fuller in the stadium, and this is probably as full as it's been all weekend. They are here and they are ready.
Especially in the closed end of the stadium, as right above the Wall of Fame. It's definitely a little cozier. Now, this also could be the streets, because I heard a lot of car horns yesterday on my drive in. Today was much easier, I have to admit.
Heard a lot of horns. Yeah, traffic was better today. Also heard there were some collisions. My ride service, we didn't have the best ride in yesterday.
Oh, all right. Lane 5, a pretty good ride so far for Paul VI from Virginia. And in 1 and 2, it looked like East Orange and Cape Henlopen from Delaware. East Orange has got to look back. They go into lane 2, and I don't know who has lane 1 and 2, but it is East Orange. That's going to have to attract a flag of some kind. But Paul the Sixth, it distracted me and my attention, but Paul the Sixth out in front, 42.80. They win by 36 hundredths, and we will definitely see
Paul the Sixth. Is that the track team or is that their wrestling team? Those guys look like they have some wrestling singlets on. Don't mess with them.
Well, you talked earlier about that one 4x8 team.
Right, that was the 4x8.
It was sculpted, yes. Definitely.
And these athletes are in shape. You don't get to the Penn relays for no reason. They look the part for sure.
Another look at the inside. Look at lane 1 and 2. It's like, whoa. I think he was out almost into lane 3.
Right. That's got to be his call because you impeded.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I waved the flag up here in the
we got our own flag.
Stadium. That's right.
We're talking about traffic. Franklin Field has replicated Philly traffic with the collisions and the speed at the same time. But so far, so good in this section, Phil.
And again, kudos to our production team. And I'm definitely going to take another look at that one. As out in lane 8, Pennsbury. Orange and black, they are flying. Good baton pass, but on the inside, in 2, that is Ephrata. At the line, inside, outside.
You calling that one?
Yeah, Pennsbury. By 1/100th over Ephrata. And I will have to give a shout out to my wonderful daughter-in-law who graduated from Ephrata High School in sort of east central Pennsylvania. But Pennsbury with the win, 42.98.
I just thought it was interesting. We were talking about Philadelphia traffic and turn signals. That previous heat we did not get either one of them. And that was reminds me of the Indy 500 several years ago when they had to come down to the nose.
Yes, absolutely.
Getting hungry.
And they're running good is Alvin Grove way out in lane 9. Hey, catch me if you can. And an early start there from the anchor leg, let alone they get the baton. It is lane 9 and lane 1. Egg Harbor.
Again, inside, outside. Avon Grove, 42.69, a very solid time. Egg Harbor, 42.95.
So we're seeing more 42s for sure, meaning we're getting closer to the Jamaican teams as they are sensing that as well by the horns. However, when the times start to drop, that means the faster they are. And some of these bigger name programs or countries, we expect to see definitely some of the uniforms. A lot of these programs are just iconic based on their look. Bullets maybe not so because they change up.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe a couple times a week or a meet.
It's like with the collegiate programs like Oregon, how many alternate uniforms do they have? Like 15?
Yeah, about.
Per sport.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if those are school-approved colors sometimes.
True. Well, I mean, we are definitely getting closer to the sun, meaning the hot heats of the 4x1 relay. This is event 328. All the hot teams, the fast teams thus far in 2026 in event 330. But in the middle of the track, St. Vincent Grammar in lane 6, and then in 4 running very well along the rail, Abington from Pennsylvania.
Right, Abington is looking good like you called out, and they get the stick first coming into the final carry.
And they will pick up the win over St. Vincent Grammar. Abington 43-34, St. Vincent 43-52.
Flags are flowing. The stands are getting full. And you start to get a buzz here at the Penn Relays field. It changes almost like the flip of a switch, and it definitely did that moments ago. But it's not a one and done. It's a continuation here as we're seeing more and more people file in here.
Oh yeah, it's a build. This is definitely true. And on the outside in 9 and 8, Hammond from Maryland, Conestoga from PA, couple lanes to their left, St. Anthony's from New York, I believe that is. In 6 it is, and then in 4, Owen J. Roberts from Pennsylvania.
And look at that shot. The rail kind of goes in and out there, so you can't fault some of these runners sometimes. They might want to straighten that out.
Yeah, it is resembles a bad paint job from the local highway department. But it is Owen J. Roberts in lane 4 with the win. I love that overhead finish line shot. 42.79 for Owen J. Roberts.
There's a Central Bucks South, East, West, South.
Yes.
And is there a
CB East, CBW, CB South, correct.
Okay, just
yeah, Council Rock North, Council Rock South. So that's again, yep.
CBCR.
CBE, CBE, CBW, CBS.
Those are schools, not news stations.
I like that. Uh-oh. We don't like that.
No, but they are going to call him back and get this sort situated. I did not see what happened.
We're up to 7 feet a quarter inch.
Yeah. We saw the guy celebrating at 6'7". He keep going. Oh, just
that
hit it with
close.
his heels. He did the Dorothy on that one. And that's just his second attempt. So he has one more. That was a close call. He definitely had the hip height on that.
That is the key.
Yeah, and they did not disqualify anyone on that callback, Phil.
That is good to hear. Heat number 5, event 328. And in lane 5, Muhlenberg from Pennsylvania. Good low, fast baton exchange in lane 5. Down the back straight, still in the mix. Oh, incoming runner goes down, the baton with him.
Urbana had problems on that first exchange, and then we just saw that one right there.
That was lane 6. Mount St. Joseph. Yep.
And you mentioned Mount St. Joseph in lane 2, though. Hudson Catholic.
From New Jersey, 42.91. Muhlenberg, again, early leader, 43.12. They finished well. And another look at the activity on the back straightaway. Mount St. Joseph in 6th. The runner just looked like clipped his toe on the track as he was focusing on passing that baton.
And it's hard to blame the other guy. However, he did do a little swerve, but walking is sometimes running is hard to do, especially when you're moving so fast in such a small space. Unfortunate situation there, for sure.
And as my wife would attest, I am an impeccable driver. No, actually, she would say the opposite. But yeah, I mean, as you're maneuvering in these lanes, you need to stay in your lane, number one, but also be very aware of what the guy in front of you is doing or what he's supposed to be doing. In lane 9, a very good pass, Penn Ridge. Look at that edge that they have going in front of the Wall of Fame, running up against the wall. Penn Ridge still in front, looking to the inside. It looked like lane 1, that might have been Northwood from Maryland, but also in lane 4, Engineering and Science, all chasing Penn Ridge. up against the wall, 42-56.
Yeah, his first 3 legs just laid the road out, and all he had to do was follow it. One of the easier jobs that we've seen today from an anchor leg.
Solid all the way around for Penn Ridge. Win by almost 1 second.
On your mark.
Yes, that's a Will, to your point earlier.
Yeah. So there, it pokes in on lane 4, pokes out in lane 3, and then it keeps riding into lane 3. So, I mean, and that's really right in that acceleration zone where you're supposed to get the baton.
Right.
So luckily, you're supposed to be on the inside because you're you're on the outside because you're inside because you're the turn. But that outside guy, as we see the clearance at 7.1 1/4, the bar will go up even more. You would just like to see them get that rail situated out there.
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain why it is like that.
And that might be why we see some of those runners zigzagging in their lane.
But in lane 8, not having to deal with the rail, Pleasantville from New Jersey. A nice close-up of that number 3 runner. Our leading team at this point. But going back to lane 5, that is Hunterdon Central from New Jersey, the closest pursuer to the squad from Pleasantville. A lot of New